Hello everyone and welcome in today's videos. Today we are seeing the pronouns. If you want to have access to this file, which covers the main tenses in French, with different files in English. So you have files within the files, right? Files within the document, let's say, and you also have explanation in French with exercises and correction. You can just go in the description, follow the link, and you'll have access to everything. So today we are covering the pronouns. So the first one, the first person of the singular is je. So the equivalent in English would be I. I am watching TV. Je regarde la télévision. So it will always be this pronunciation, je. The only difference is if you're using a verb follows this, and there is a vowel. Or if not a vowel, a sound, that's a vowel. So for example, j'arrive. We do not say je arrive, but j'arrive. Just as in English you'd say it's instead of it is, but in that case we wouldn't say je arrive, it's only j'arrive. So this is the first pronoun. This one is simple, just as in English, I, je, I am watching TV, je regarde la télévision. That's it. Voilà. So this is the first one, je. The second person of the singular is tu. So this is equivalent to you in English, you, tu, okay. This one is quite simple, and once again, if we use it with a vowel following, we can do this little thing, the same thing as with je, j'arrive, t'arrives. If we are in a formal context, we will tend not to use this. We will just tend to use this form, tu arrives. This is a bit more formal, right? So we will have to pay attention and use this one when we want to sound professional or really polite. The third person of the singular, il, elle, on. So il, elle, on, right? So in English you could have he, she, it. In French it's a bit different. So il, we can use this one for he, or we can also use this one for it. Alright, so this can both be used as a he or as a neutral pronoun like it. For example, it rains, we would say il pleut. And this is neutral, right? Second one, elle, just like the letter L. So this is the equivalent of she in English. She's watching TV, elle regarde la télévision. Elle. So this one, there are no specific usage, it's just she, elle. Okay? Next one, this one is really nice. We love this one in French, on. This one is really nice because when I conjugate, I can conjugate as if I were using he or she, but what it means is we. So I'm referring to me and my friends, so it's the same meaning as nous, but when we conjugate, it's much easier to use, right? Because with nous, that there are all those different weird things like nous mangeons, nous finissons. This is too complicated, right? We are lazy, we are French, we don't have time for this, so we will just use on. On mange. The same conjugation as if I were using il ou elle. Il mange, elle mange. Il regarde la télévision, elle regarde la télévision. We conjugate the same way, on mange. But I'm still speaking about me and my friends, my group, on mange, on regarde la télévision, we are watching TV. But when we conjugate, it's easier. So when we are speaking, we will tend to use this one in France. In France or in French, in general. It's easier. So nous, we've already mentioned this one. It's the first person of the plural. So the equivalent in English would be we. We are watching TV. Nous regardons la télévision. So as we've already mentioned this, so we could be using on, and we could be using nous. We are watching TV. Nous regardons la télévision. So it's different when we conjugate. Different than on, nous. Okay? The next one, the second person of the plural is vous. Vous. So in English it would be the same as tu, you. You are watching TV. It could be, you could be speaking to one person or to a group. In French, we have tu and vous to do those two different things, right? Unless a little bit of detail here. If you're trying to be polite, you will still use vous. You must have heard this before. This vous when speaking to only one person, it means that we are trying to be polite, okay? So when we are using vous to speak to only one person, we are referring to this as vouvoiement. Le vouvoiement. So when we use tu to speak to a person, we call this le tutoiement. Tutoiement. So it's to make use of tu to speak to one person, and vouvoiement, it's to make use of vous to speak to one person. Le vouvoiement, we are trying to be polite, we are trying to be respectful, right? Donc, vous, we could use this pronoun vous to speak to one person, so it's singular, and we would be speaking to a male. In that case, it's just masculine, and we could be using vous to speak to one person, and that person is female, right? So that's two different scenarios. And then we could be using vous, so to speak to a group. So it's the second person of the plural, remember? So it's a group, we are speaking to a group, and this group is only made of males. So in that case, it's just considered to be masculine and plural. The fourth case is you're speaking to a group that's made of males and females. So this is a mixed group. So just as with il, it can behave as a neutral pronoun, it's the same thing there. It will make sense with the example. And the last one, we are speaking to a group, so plural, and this group is only made of females, so we will use a female component. So it makes sense when we are using le passé composé. So first case scenarios, we've said you are using vous to speak to one person. This person is male, so we don't have to specify a plural component. We don't have to specify a female component. So we don't have to add anything. Vous êtes tombé, one person. We don't have to specify the plural. This person is male. We don't have to specify a female component. Okay? The second case scenario, we are speaking to one person. So once again, vouvoiement. And this person is a female. So in that case, we don't have to specify the plural component. It's one person. But we have to specify this female component. This person is a female. So we have to add this final I. Vous êtes tombé. The pronunciation is the same. Vous êtes tombé. Vous êtes tombé. Vous êtes tombé. Vous êtes tombé. Those four different configurations, they all have the same pronunciation. Then if we speak to a male group or mixed group, and when I say mixed group, there could be only one man and 4 women, or 5 men and 1 woman, it would still be a mixed group, either way. So in that case, it's a mixed group, so it behaves the same way as a neutral pronoun. We don't have to specify a female component, but it's a group, so plural, we have to specify the plural. So we have to add this S. So I, female component, S, plural component. So for the final case, a group that's composed of females, only females. So in that case, we have a female component to specify with this I, and we have a plural component to specify with this S, right? So that was for vous. And the last one, the third person of the plural. So in English, it would be they. We can add more details in French. When we use this third person of the plural, we have il with an S, right? But it's the same pronunciation as this one, il. But when we write, there is this little S. And elle. It's the same pronunciation as the third person of the singular, but when we write, we will have to add this little S. Elle. Okay? And once again, this il could be used in 2 different scenarios. So we could be referring to a group only made of males, so il, but we could also be referring to a mixed group made of males and females, il. And last case scenario, the group we are referring to is only made of females, so we would use this one, elle, with an S. And just as in English, when we use this one, the third person of the plural, they, when we use those pronouns, il, elle, with an S, we are talking about a group. We are not talking to that group. We are talking about that group. They are watching TV. Ils regardent la télévision. Elle regarde la télévision. So that was it for today. Don't forget to go into the description if you want to have access to everything. And voilà. Bye bye.